Rex was a young Nigerian billionaire from Benin City, living in a glass mansion by the lagoon in Lagos. People called him smart, bold, and lucky. He was 34, tall and calm. He wore simple clothes, drove quiet cars, and gave big gifts to schools. He believed in kindness. His favorite words were, "Do not embarrass people. Help them stand." He was engaged to Dara, a beautiful and caring lawyer from Enugu who loved justice and children. In the house worked Pauline, a 27-year-old maid from Edo State, quiet, neat, and always early. Nosa, Rex's cousin, handled his business calls. Vicky, Dara's friend and bridesmaid, loved to plan parties and talk straight. Now breathe in, because here is the most shocking moment of the whole story. One rainy Friday night, a doctor had just left Rex's room. The news was simple, but it cut deep. The doctor said, "Nothing is wrong with your body. It is in your mind." Rex felt shame, sorrow, and fear. He had tried to be close to Dara for months, yet his body stayed quiet. He thought he was broken. He thought marriage would fail before it began. Then, the door of the hallway opened, and Pauline stepped in to return a polished tray. She wore a clean green wrapper and a white blouse, her hair tied back, eyes lowered in respect. Rex looked up by accident, not expecting anything, not wanting anything. In that small second, to his shock, his body stirred to life like a stubborn generator that suddenly starts. His heart jumped. He froze. He could not breathe. He shut his eyes and counted. It was real. The tray slipped in Pauline's hands and made a tiny sound. She said, "Sorry, sir. Let me not disturb you." And she stepped back. Dara's voice floated from the corridor. "Babe, are you fine? Should I come in?" Rex stared at the door, his chest tight. The truth that had refused to rise for love rose for the maid in a green wrapper. What would happen if Dara walked in right now? What would Rex say? What would Pauline think? Would this secret live or explode tonight? Let us start from the beginning, before the rain, before the doctor, before the green wrapper and the shock. Months earlier, Rex had taken a big oath in his heart. He said, "I will not be a loud rich man. I will be gentle." He built a reading room in his community, painted 2 classrooms, and gave small grants to women who sold food by the roadside. He believed that kindness was not noise, it was action. Dara loved that about him. She ran a free clinic for legal advice on Saturdays. When people could not pay, she still helped them. She would come home tired, shoes in her hand, and smile, "Today we kept one boy out of trouble." Rex would say, "You are my hero." That was their life, simple and kind. Pauline came to work after a church auntie introduced her. She was strong and careful. She ironed like an artist. She spoke soft pidgin with the drivers and proper English with Madame Dara. She sent money to her mother in Auchi. She kept to herself and hummed old songs while sweeping. Nosa called her serious girl. Vicky called her Snow Queen because she never joined gossip. Pauline only smiled and said, "I am here to work." Then, like a shadow that grows when the sun drops, a private problem began to follow Rex. He loved Dara. He wanted to be close. He planned a trip to Badagry, candles, soft music, and rose petals in a rented beach house. The sea was warm, the sky was wide, and the night said yes. But when he held her hand and kissed her forehead, his body said no. He laughed it off, blamed stress, cracked a joke, and they watched waves. Dara did not shame him. She held his face and said, "I love you for your heart, not your muscle." He thanked her and prayed it would pass. It did not pass. It returned again and again. The more he worried, the worse it became. He started to avoid moments that should have been sweet. He worked late. He drank ginger tea. He Googled too much. Finally, he told Nosa, who said, "Guy, see a doctor." That is how the Friday rain and the doctor visit came. Here is the hard truth that makes people judge too fast. A body is not a switch. A heart is not a wire. Sometimes the mind ties knots only kindness can untie. Rex had always shown mercy to others, but now he needed mercy for himself. He did not deserve shame. He deserved help and time. That is what empathy is. You give people space to breathe without fear. Dara tried to be that space. She planned a quiet evening for 2. Vicky helped with flowers and soft lights. Pauline arranged the plates and set warm towels in a basket. The house smelled like cinnamon and rain. Nosa kept business calls away. It should have been perfect. Yet, fate had another plan. One so strange that even wise elders would shake their heads. Earlier that evening, as Pauline dusted the hallway mirrors, she heard Vicky teasing Dara in the kitchen. "Make sure you rest, my friend. Your wedding is close." Dara laughed and said, "I know." Pauline smiled at the sound, then packed the tray, lifted it with care, and walked toward the bedroom area. She did not know the doctor had just told Rex to relax and breathe. She did not know Rex stood by the window, half lost, biting his lip. She did not know that her quiet steps in the corridor would trigger a storm inside the man she called Sir. Now we are back at the door, right where the cliff hangs. Pauline opens it a little to return the tray. The metal kisses the wood, a small cling. Rex turns his head. Their eyes meet for less than a heartbeat. Lightning strikes his secret. His body wakes. He panics. He looks away, but the truth is faster than shame. Pauline senses the tension, bows, and retreats like a careful cat. Dara's voice comes closer, still warm, still trusting. "Babe, is the tea helping? Can I come in now?" Rex swallows hard. He wants to say, "Yes, come in." He wants to be honest, but the words are stones in his mouth. He does not want to hurt her. He does not want to be that man who breaks a good woman. He tells himself maybe it was a fluke, maybe it will pass. He wipes his forehead and says, "Give me 1 minute, my love." Dara pauses in the corridor. The rain drums on the roof. Vicky is downstairs counting candles. Nosa is at the gate talking to a driver. Pauline stands near the stairs, hands on the tray, face calm, but inside, a question rises like smoke. Did I do something wrong? Why was Olga looking at me like he had seen a ghost? Less extreme things move in the background now, like chess pieces before a fast checkmate. The chef brings pepper soup to the dining room. The guard signs a parcel from a courier and forgets it on a side table. The house cat hunts a moth in the study. Pauline returns to the kitchen to rinse the tray, thinking about rent, thinking about her mother's medicine, thinking about nothing special at all. Dara takes a deep breath and smooths her dress, ready to try again with patience and love. Rex stands alone in the bedroom and faces his mirror. He whispers, "Be kind to her, be kind to yourself, do not make a mess." He opens his phone and types, "Doctor, please call me tomorrow morning," then stops and deletes it. He sits on the edge of the bed and stares at the door. He remembers his own rule, do not embarrass people, help them stand. He decides to try one more calm night. No pressure, just laughter and music. He reaches for the speaker and scrolls to an old playlist. Then the extreme moment arrives without warning, sharp and loud. A glass shatters in the kitchen. Vicky screams, "Pauline." Dara jumps and drops the flower she was holding. The petals scatter on the floor like red rain. Rex rushes out of the room, heart pounding. In the kitchen doorway, he sees Pauline on her knees, hands bleeding from a burst jar, eyes wide with shock, and beside the sink, a small folded paper has fallen from the forgotten parcel on the side table. On the paper, in bold letters, are the words, "To Pauline from a secret friend. See you when he is away." Who sent that message? Why now? Why to Pauline? And why does Rex feel, in the middle of fear and broken glass, that the night has just opened a door none of them are ready to enter? The sound of breaking glass had turned the house upside down. Dara rushed into the kitchen with fear on her face. Vicky was holding her chest, staring at Pauline, who was still on her knees. Blood slid down Pauline's fingers as she tried to pick up the pieces of the jar. Rex pushed past everyone and bent down quickly. He pulled Pauline's hand away from the glass and shouted, "Don't touch it again!" The silence in that moment was heavy. Dara looked at Rex, surprised at how sharp his voice had sounded. Pauline froze, confused, not knowing what she had done wrong. She only wanted to clean the mess. Rex grabbed a napkin and wrapped it around her hand. His voice softened. "You'll hurt yourself. Please, let me." Dara blinked. Something about the way Rex was holding Pauline's hand lingered in her mind. She wanted to push it aside, but it stayed like a shadow. Pauline, on the other hand, lowered her head. "I'm sorry, sir. I'll be more careful." Rex sighed, standing up. "You don't need to be sorry for an accident. It can happen to anybody. It should have ended there. But it didn't. Because when Rex bent to lift the jar pieces into a bin, a folded paper caught his eye near the sink. His chest tightened. The paper carried those words again. To Pauline, from a secret friend. See you when he is away. He quickly slipped it into his pocket before anyone noticed. Dara didn't see the paper, but she saw the way Rex's eyes flickered. Her lawyer's mind was sharp. Something wasn't right. Still, she chose silence. She told herself not to judge too quickly. She reminded herself of the kindness she always preached to others. Vicky broke the silence first. "We need to clean this up before someone else steps on glass." She started gathering pieces with a broom. Pauline rinsed her hands under cold water, wincing at the sting. Rex watched her too closely. Dara noticed. The night was supposed to be about romance. But instead of candles and soft laughter, the air smelled of blood and broken trust. They all went back to their corners of the house, but nobody's heart was at peace. Later that night, Rex stood by his balcony. The city lights stretched out like a blanket of stars. He pulled out the folded note again. His mind raced. Who was writing to Pauline? Was it a joke? Was it danger? Or was it something worse? He looked at her neat handwriting in the house register earlier that day, then back at the paper. Different writing, different tone. This was not from her. It was to her. The thought sent a wave of unease through him. But deeper than the note, another truth tore at him. Why did his body betray him with Pauline and not with Dara? He hated himself for it. He hated the thought that his love for Dara wasn't enough. Meanwhile, Pauline sat alone in her room, pressing a cloth to her wound. She thought about the jar, the scream, and the way Rex had shouted at her first but then held her hand so gently. Confused her. She never looked at him in any way other than respect. She was just the maid. But that look in his eyes when their hands touched, it stayed in her mind like an echo. Dara lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling. She remembered the softness in Rex's tone when he spoke to her, the kindness that made her love him. But she also remembered the sharp way he defended Pauline. Something inside her stirred doubt, fear, or maybe jealousy. She whispered a prayer, asking for clarity. The night crawled on. Each of them was trapped in their thoughts. Nosa and the guards downstairs had no idea how stormy the air upstairs had become. The next morning, life tried to pretend it was normal. The sun rose, shining on the mansion's glass walls. Breakfast was served. The table looked perfect. Fried yam, akra, pap, and fresh fruit. Dara smiled faintly as she poured juice. Pauline served quietly, her bandaged hand hidden under her wrapper. Rex pretended to focus on business calls. But beneath the surface, tension flowed like a hidden river. Nosa cracked a joke about politics, trying to lighten the mood. Vicky scrolled through her phone, updating her Instagram stories. To anyone else, it looked like a happy morning. But to those at the table, it was the calm before another storm. Because just as Rex raised his cup, the doorbell rang. A guard brought in a small package addressed not to Rex, not to Dara, but to Pauline. She froze. Everyone at the table turned to look at her. The guard dropped the package in her lap and left without a word. Pauline's hands trembled as she held it. Her lips parted as if to speak, but no sound came. Rex's eyes locked on the package, his mind screaming. Dara's chest tightened, watching the scene. Vicky leaned forward, curious. The package was light, wrapped in plain brown paper. Pauline slowly pulled the tape, and inside was a small silver necklace with a single note. She unfolded it, and her eyes widened. Rex saw her hand shake. Before anyone could ask, the note slipped from her fingers and fell to the floor. Dara bent to pick it up. She read aloud in a cold voice, "Pauline, don't forget our meeting place. Midnight. He must not know." The room went silent. Chairs creaked. Hearts stopped. All eyes turned to Pauline. And just like that, the secret Rex had been trying to bury grew larger. What meeting place? Who was writing to Pauline? And why did Rex feel like his own life was tied to this secret more than anyone could guess? The silence after Dara read the note was louder than thunder. Everyone at the table froze. Pauline's lips trembled as if she wanted to explain, but no words came. Her bandaged hand clutched the necklace tightly, her eyes lowered to the floor. Rex's heart pounded. His ears rang, his chest heavy. He wanted to reach across the table, to grab the note, to burn it before anyone else could read it again. But it was too late. Dara's sharp lawyer's eyes had seen everything, and Vicky was already leaning forward, her mouth wide open. Midnight meeting? Vicky whispered with mock curiosity. Pauline, who are you meeting at midnight? This is your own romance film. She laughed, but the sound carried an edge. Pauline swallowed hard. I don't know who sent this. I swear. Her voice was small, almost broken. Dara's gaze hardened. So the note just fell from the sky? Pauline, someone addressed it to you. Someone is sending you things. And it says, he must not know. Who is he? Who is being deceived here? The words stung more than they should have. Rex felt sweat on his forehead. He shifted in his chair, pretending to adjust his phone, but his body was stiff. Every line in that note felt like it was meant to expose him, even though he had nothing to do with it. Or did he? Pauline shook her head, tears building. Madam, I don't know. Please believe me. I don't know who wrote this. Her words rang with desperation, but the room was already filled with suspicion. Vicky leaned back, smirking. These house girls, and always full of secrets. Rich people house is like Nollywood, one scandal to the next. Dara's eyes darted to Rex, watching his face closely. She wanted to see his reaction, to read what was hidden behind his calm mask. Rex felt her stare like a knife and forced a smile. Maybe it's a prank. People drop nonsense letters all the time. But even as he spoke, his fingers itched in his pocket, remembering the first note he had hidden. The tension was broken when Nosa walked in, chewing plantain. Wedding day happen? Everybody serious like na exam day. He looked at Pauline, then at Dara holding the note. His brows furrowed. Wedding be that? Nobody answered. Pauline stood quickly and excused herself, carrying the necklace with her. Her retreating steps echoed through the corridor like the steps of someone walking toward judgment. Dara dropped the note on the table and pushed her chair back. I'll find out what's going on. Lies don't survive in my house. Her voice was cold, determined. Then she left the dining room too, her slippers tapping the floor like a gavel in a courtroom. Rex sat back slowly, staring at the juice in his cup. His reflection wavered in the yellow liquid. For the first time, he felt trapped in his own house, caught in a web of secrets he didn't weave but could not escape. That afternoon, the mansion felt like a battlefield where no one could see the enemy. Dara stayed in her study, pretending to read legal documents. Pauline stayed in her small room, silently crying. Rex paced in his office, wrestling with his own secret, his body's betrayal and the strange reaction to Pauline. Vicky lounged by the pool, making calls and whispering about what she had just witnessed. The calm of the day was only a mask, though. Night was coming, and with it the words of that note. Midnight. He must not know. By evening, Rex could not sit still. His mind was a storm. He wanted to believe Pauline's innocence. He wanted to protect Dara's heart. He wanted to silence the shadow growing in his chest. But most of all, he wanted answers. Who was sending these messages? And why Pauline? At 11:30 p.m., Rex stood by his balcony, watching the clock. The moonlight lay over the city, quiet but expectant. He told himself he wouldn't go. He told himself it was none of his business. But as the minutes ticked closer to midnight, his curiosity twisted into desperation. He grabbed a black hoodie, pulled it over his head, and slipped out of the mansion quietly. The guards thought he was just taking a late stroll by the compound. They nodded and looked away. At 5 minutes to midnight, Rex stood near the back gate, hidden in shadows. His breath was shallow, his body tense. Then, from the corner of his eye, he saw movement. Pauline. She was wrapped in a shawl, walking quickly, her head low, her steps nervous. She carried nothing but a small bag, and her bandaged hand was visible under the moonlight. Rex's throat tightened. She reached the gate and paused, looking around. The air was heavy. Every insect seemed to hush. Then, from the darkness outside, another figure appeared. A man tall, wearing a cap pulled low over his face. Pauline froze, clutching her bag. The man whispered something Rex couldn't hear. He stepped closer to her, too close. Pauline shook her head and tried to step back, but the man grabbed her arm. Rex felt his blood boil. His fists clenched. Every nerve in his body screamed at him to run forward. But before he could move, the man's voice rang out clear in the night. "You know the truth, Pauline. Don't pretend. If you don't tell him, I will." Pauline's eyes widened. Her lips parted in shock. And Rex, hidden in the shadows, felt his knees weaken. What truth? Who was this man? And why did Rex feel like the ground beneath him was about to collapse? The man's words cut through the night like a knife. "You know the truth, Pauline. Don't pretend. If you don't tell him, I will." Rex, hidden behind the trees near the back gate, felt his breath stop. His mind raced. Tell who? Tell me what? The words echoed in his head, louder than the crickets singing in the darkness. Pauline's hands shook. She tried to free herself from the man's grip, her shawl slipping off her shoulders. "Leave me alone," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I don't know what you're talking about. Please, just go." The man pulled her closer, his face still hidden under the cap. "Stop acting innocent. You think he won't find out? You think you can keep this secret forever?" His grip tightened on her arm. "I gave you enough time. Tonight you either tell him, or I will." Rex's body tensed. He wanted to step forward, to punch the stranger, to demand answers. But something inside him told him to wait, to listen. He clenched his jaw and stayed in the shadows. Pauline finally yanked her hand free and stumbled back. Her eyes glistened with tears. "You don't understand. I can't tell him. It will destroy everything." Rex's heart pounded harder. Destroy everything? He leaned closer, his palms sweaty. The stranger sighed deeply, shaking his head. "You're already destroying him, Pauline. And when the truth comes out, it won't just break him. It will break all of you." Then, as suddenly as he came, the man turned and disappeared into the night. His footsteps faded, swallowed by silence. Pauline collapsed onto her knees, sobbing quietly, clutching her bag to her chest. Rex felt frozen. He couldn't move. He couldn't think. His mind was on fire with questions. What truth was Pauline hiding? What was she afraid to tell him? And why did the stranger speak like Rex's whole life depended on it? He stepped back into the mansion silently, leaving Pauline still kneeling by the gate. He couldn't face her, not yet. Not when his chest was this heavy. By the time Pauline returned inside, her eyes were red, her shawl crumpled. She went straight to her small room, locking the door. But Dara wasn't asleep. She had been pacing the living room, waiting. When Pauline walked past, Dara caught the tail end of her shawl. "Where are you coming from at this hour?" Dara's voice was sharp, full of suspicion. Pauline froze. She tried to cover her face, but Dara pulled her hand away. Their eyes met. I just needed air," Pauline whispered, her voice trembling. "Air?" Dara's brows rose. "At midnight? With gifts arriving for you and letters telling you to keep secrets? Pauline, do you take me for a fool?" Pauline's lips parted, but no words came. Dara shook her head, her voice low but firm. "I don't know what you're hiding, but I promise you, I'll find out. And when I do, God help you if it's something that hurts me or Rex." Pauline broke into tears, her voice cracking. "Madam, please, it's not what you think. I swear." But Dara had already turned away, her jaw set. She didn't want to hear excuses. She had made up her mind, truth would come out one way or another. The next morning, the mansion carried a tension so thick it was hard to breathe. Breakfast was silent. Pauline avoided everyone's eyes. Dara sat stiffly, pretending to read her phone. Rex, who had barely slept, forced himself to look calm. Inside, however, His mind replayed the man's words again and again. Nosa, sensing the mood, finally said, "A beg? Una day fight?" The air here fit cut bread. He laughed, but nobody joined him. Vicky, sipping tea, raised a brow. This house is starting to look like one of those soap operas. Secrets flying left and right. Maybe I should start recording. Dara shot her a look, but Vicky only smirked. Later that afternoon, Rex called Nosa into his office. "Find out who delivered that package yesterday. Check the gate logs. Ask the guards. I don't care how long it takes. Find out." Nosa frowned. "Oh boy, wettin' day sup? Why you so interested in Pauline's matter?" Rex looked away, hiding the storm in his eyes. "Because something isn't right. And if there's danger in this house, I need to know." Meanwhile, Pauline sat in her room, staring at the silver necklace on her table. Her thoughts were a blur of fear and guilt. She whispered to herself, I can't let this come out." But secrets don't stay buried forever. That evening, just when the house began to settle into its uneasy rhythm, an unexpected knock came at the door. The guard answered, and a delivery man stepped in with another small envelope. This time it wasn't addressed to Pauline. It was addressed to Rex. Dara picked it up first. She looked at Rex with narrowed eyes. "It's for you." Rex took the envelope slowly, his fingers trembling. He tore it open, his eyes scanning the paper. His face went pale. His heart dropped. The note read, "She isn't who you think she is. Watch her closely." Midnight was only the beginning. Everyone at the table stared at him, waiting for an explanation. Rex looked up, his eyes dark, his lips pressed into a hard line. The mansion had just turned into a war zone of secrets, and the truth was crawling closer, faster than any of them could control. Rex folded the note with trembling fingers, trying to keep his face calm. But his eyes betrayed him, darting left and right as if he was searching for an escape. Dara leaned forward, her lawyer's instinct rising like fire. "What does it say?" she asked, her voice steady but sharp. Rex hesitated. For a moment he thought about lying, about tearing the note apart and pretending it was nothing. But Vicky was watching him closely, her mouth already curved in a sly smile, hungry for drama. Nosa stood in the corner, arms folded, waiting. Pauline sat frozen, her bandaged hand clenched under the table, eyes on the floor. It's nothing," Rex finally muttered, sliding the note into his pocket. "Nothing?" Dara's tone hardened. "Then why is your hand shaking, Rex?" The air grew heavy again. Nobody spoke. Finally, Nosa broke the silence. "Guy, stop this secret thing. If not threat, we fit handle am. If not joke, we go find the person. But hiding? That one no go help anybody." Rex exhaled slowly, then pulled the note back out. He placed it on the table. The words glared up at them. "She isn't who you think she is. Watch her closely." Midnight was only the beginning. The room fell silent. Pauline's head snapped up. Her lips parted as if to defend herself, but Dara was faster. "Who else could it be talking about?" Dara said, her eyes narrowing at Pauline. "Midnight? A secret meeting? A gift? Notes telling you to keep things hidden? And now this." Pauline's voice cracked. "Madam, please. I don't know why they are dragging me into this. I don't know who is sending these things. I've done nothing wrong." Dara slammed her palm on the table, the sound making everyone jump. "Enough. You were outside last night. Don't lie. I saw you sneaking back in. Who were you meeting, Pauline?" Tears rolled down Pauline's cheeks. I can't say. Please, I beg you." Those words only poured fuel on the fire. Dara's jaw tightened. "Can't say? In my house? You're hiding something? And you think we won't find out?" Rex's chest ached. He wanted to protect Pauline, though he didn't fully understand why. He wanted to calm Dara down. But his tongue felt heavy, chained by secrets he hadn't confessed himself. His own hidden note, his body's betrayal, and the stranger's warning at the gate. Vicky leaned back with a wicked grin. "Honestly, I'm enjoying this. It's like watching a live telenovela." But Pauline, she tilted her head. If you're innocent, why are you crying like someone already caught? Pauline stood abruptly, her chair screeching. Because I'm tired, she cried, her voice breaking. I work in this house with all my heart. I clean, I cook, I send money to my family, I mind my business. And still I'm being accused, mocked and followed. What do you all want from me? Her words hung in the air. Even Dara faltered for a second, but her suspicion didn't fade. That night, Pauline locked herself in her room again. Rex stood by his window, staring at the city, the note replaying in his head. Dara sat in the dark study, her mind racing with questions. Her heart split between love for Rex and anger at Pauline. Vicky typed on her phone, already drafting a gossip post she'd never actually publish but loved imagining. Nosa poured himself a drink, muttering, "This house done turned film." The hours crawled by. Midnight came again, and with it the memory of the stranger's warning. Rex couldn't sleep. He walked quietly through the halls, the mansion silent except for the ticking clock. He stopped outside Pauline's door. His hand hovered near the handle. He wanted to ask her, to beg her to tell him the truth. But he didn't knock. He couldn't. Instead, he turned toward his office, deciding to think. But when he opened the office door, his heart nearly stopped. On his desk sat another envelope. This one was unsealed, lying in plain sight as though someone had placed it there just minutes ago. His stomach dropped as he reached for it, his hands trembling. Inside was a photograph of Pauline. She was younger, maybe 19, standing beside an older man Rex had never seen before. The man had his arm draped around her shoulder, smiling widely. On the back of the photo, in the same handwriting as the earlier notes, were the words, "Ask her who this man is, and why she can't tell you." Rex's breath caught. He dropped into his chair, the photograph shaking in his hand. His mind screamed with questions. Who was this man? Why was Pauline hiding him? And who was sending these notes that seemed to know everything? The sound of footsteps outside jolted him. Someone was moving in the hall. He quickly slipped the photo back into the envelope and shoved it into his drawer. The door creaked open. It was Dara. Her face was pale, her eyes tired, but sharp. "Rex," she whispered. "We need to talk. About Pauline." Her voice carried the weight of a woman ready to uncover the truth at all costs. And Rex, hiding the photograph in his drawer, knew the storm was only beginning. Rex stared at Dara as she stepped into the office, her robe tied tightly around her waist. Her face was serious, her eyes sharper than ever. The drawer where he had just hidden the photograph felt like it was burning against his leg. He prayed she wouldn't notice the way his hand trembled on the table. "Rex," Dara began, her voice calm but firm. "We can't continue like this. Something is going on with Pauline, and if we don't face it, it will destroy this house. I want the truth." Rex swallowed hard. His lips parted as if to answer, but the words stuck in his throat. Should he tell her about the photo? About the stranger? About the first note he had hidden? His chest tightened. The truth was heavy, heavier than he could carry. "I know," he finally whispered, "but we have to be careful. We don't know who is behind this." Dara tilted her head. "We don't need to know who is behind it yet. What we need to know is why Pauline is at the center of it. She isn't telling us everything." Rex looked away, his jaw tight. "And maybe she has her reasons. Maybe she's protecting someone." That single sentence made Dara freeze. Her eyes narrowed. "Protecting who? Rex? Do you know something you're not telling me?" The room grew heavy. Rex shifted in his chair, his palms sweating. Before he could answer, a knock came at the office door. They both turned. It was Pauline. She stood in the doorway, her face pale, her eyes red as though she hadn't slept all night. Her bandaged hand clutched the doorframe. "Sir, madam, I need to talk to you." Dara folded her arms, her chin raised. Finally, Pauline stepped in slowly, her voice trembling. "I don't know who is sending those letters. I don't know why they are trying to destroy me. But what I do know is, If you keep digging, someone will get hurt. Her words sent a chill through the room. Rex leaned forward. Pauline, what are you hiding? Tell us. We can protect you. Tears filled Pauline's eyes. I can't. If I tell you, everything will fall apart. Madam will hate me. Sir will hate me. And the people behind this, they won't stop. Dara slammed her fist on the desk. Enough of this riddle. You will tell us now, Pauline, or I'll have you out of this house by morning. Pauline gasped, her knees almost giving way. She fell to the floor, sobbing. Please, madam, don't throw me out. My family, my mother depends on me. I swear I'm not your enemy. But there are things you don't know. Things that started long before I came to this house. Rex bent down to help her up, but Dara held out her hand. No, Rex. Let her stand on her own. If she has strength to keep secrets, she has strength to explain herself. Pauline wiped her tears with the back of her hand, forcing herself to speak. The man you saw me with, the man who came at midnight, he is not a stranger to me. She hesitated, her chest heaving. He is someone from my past. Rex's eyes widened. Dara leaned forward, her voice cold. Who is he? Pauline opened her mouth, but before the answer could escape, a loud crash echoed from outside the office. They all jumped to their feet. Nosa burst through the door, panting, his shirt half-tucked. Rex, trouble on land. Somebody break into the compound. What? Rex and Dara shouted together. The guards they chase him now, Nosa said, sweat dripping from his forehead. But this no be ordinary thief. This person come for something or someone in this house. The three of them, Rex, Dara, and Pauline, rushed out of the office. In the courtyard, the guards were shouting, flashlights sweeping through the dark. The air was thick with chaos. Then, out of the shadows, the intruder broke free, sprinting toward the back wall. For a split second, the lights caught his face. It was the same man who had met Pauline at midnight. Stop him, Rex roared. But the man was fast. He leapt over the wall and vanished into the night, leaving only confusion behind. Pauline's scream cut through the silence. She fell to her knees again, clutching her chest. Dara's face twisted with fury. Rex's fists clenched in rage. The stranger wasn't just sending letters anymore. He had broken into their home. The question now wasn't just what secret Pauline was hiding. It was how far this man was willing to go to expose it. The compound was restless after the intruder's escape. Guards paced with torches, scanning every corner. Nosa barked orders, his voice carrying through the night. Check the fence. Double the watch. Nobody sleeps till morning. Rex stood in the courtyard, fists still tight, his mind spinning. Dara folded her arms, her eyes locked on Pauline, who knelt on the ground trembling. The air between them was sharp, filled with suspicion and unanswered questions. Dara broke the silence first. That man wasn't here by mistake. He came for you, Pauline, and you will explain tonight. Pauline's lips quivered. Madam, I can't. Please don't make me. If I tell you, everything will. Enough, Dara snapped, her voice fierce. No more tears, no more excuses. You are living under my roof, and now a stranger has broken into my home. You owe us the truth. Pauline's chest rose and fell rapidly. She pressed her hands together like she was praying. Please, madam. If you throw me out, they will find me faster. At least here I have some safety. Rex's voice was calmer, but heavy. Pauline, you can't keep hiding. Who is that man? Her eyes flicked between Rex and Dara. For a moment it looked like she would finally speak. But before the words came, Vicky stepped into the courtyard, her silk robe flowing, her phone in hand. What's all this noise? She asked, half mocking, half curious. Then she saw Pauline's tear-streaked face and smirked. Ah, the maid again. Always the center of drama. Who is she really, Rex? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like she's more than just a maid. Dara's head snapped toward Vicky, her anger flaring. Don't start, Vicky. But Vicky only shrugged, her voice dripping with poison. I'm only saying what everyone is thinking. That man came here for Pauline. She's not innocent. And maybe, her eyes slid toward Rex. Maybe she's not the only one hiding something. The words hit Rex like a slap. He glared at her, but she only raised her brow with a sly smile. Dara caught the look in Rex's eyes, and suspicion twisted deeper into her heart. She turned to him slowly. Rex, is there something you're not telling me about Pauline? The courtyard fell silent. Even the guards stopped moving, sensing the tension. Pauline's eyes widened in panic. Rex froze, his chest heavy. His secret. The way his body had betrayed him, the note he had hidden, the photo in his drawer, pounded in his mind like a drum. Rex began, his voice low, but before he could continue, Nosa shouted from the gate. We found something. Everyone turned. The guards gathered around Nosa, holding a small bag the intruder had dropped while escaping. Rex rushed over and snatched it open. Inside were documents, old photographs, and a small black phone. The top photograph made his blood run cold. It was Pauline again. Only this time, she was standing beside the same man who had broken into the compound. They were both younger, and their clothes suggested it was years ago. Pauline looked different, softer, but the fear in her eyes was the same. Dara's voice cut through the night. Rex, you see now? She has been lying. That man isn't just from her past. He's still here, still connected to her. Pauline gasped when she saw the photograph. Her whole body shook as she whispered, No, no! They found it. Who is he? Rex demanded, his voice louder than ever. Tell me, Pauline, who is this man? And why is he stalking this house? Pauline broke down completely, sobbing uncontrollably. She tried to speak, but the words came out in fragments. He's not what you think. Please, I can't. Can't. Dara snapped. Or won't. Which one? Vicky smirked again, her eyes dancing with mischief. If you ask me, she's hiding a lover. And maybe Rex knows more than he's saying. Rex turned sharply to her. Vicky, enough. But Dara's suspicion deepened. Her voice was low, trembling with restrained rage. Rex, answer me one thing. Why are you defending her like this? Rex opened his mouth, but before he could answer, the black phone in the bag suddenly vibrated, startling everyone. Nosa grabbed it, frowning. It's ringing. The screen lit up with a single name, Odogwu. The guards, Dara, Vicky, Rex, and even Pauline all froze. Pauline's scream broke the silence. She covered her face, shaking violently. No, don't answer it. Please. But Nosa had already pressed the button. He placed it on loudspeaker. A deep voice filled the courtyard. Pauline, you think you can run from me? You think hiding in that rich man's house will save you? Midnight was only the beginning. The truth is coming. And when it does, no one in that house will be safe. The line went dead. The courtyard fell into stunned silence. Dara's hand covered her mouth. Vicky's smirk vanished. Nosa cursed under his breath. Rex's eyes locked on Pauline, his voice trembling with anger and fear. Who is Odogwu? And why is he threatening this house? Pauline collapsed to the ground, sobbing harder. Her voice was barely a whisper. He's the man I've been running from, and if you don't send me away, he will destroy all of us. The courtyard was thick with silence. Every pair of eyes pinned on Pauline as she knelt trembling on the ground. The guards exchanged uneasy glances. Even Vicky, who usually smirked at every scandal, had gone quiet. Dara's jaw tightened, her fists clenched at her sides. Rex stood over Pauline, his voice low but burning with anger. Enough of half-truths, Pauline. Who is Odogwu? Why is he calling my house in the middle of the night? Pauline's sobs shook her chest. She lifted her face slowly, her eyes swollen and wet. Odogwu is not just a man. He's a monster. He's someone I thought I left behind years ago. But he found me. Dara's voice was sharp. That doesn't explain why he's breaking into my home. What is his connection to you? Tell us. Pauline's lips quivered. She looked at Rex, then at Dara, then down again. I can't. If I say it, madam, if I say it, everything will scatter. Odogwu doesn't forgive. He doesn't forget. Nosa's patience snapped. This is nonsense. You think we day watch film? Guy break into this house, drop threats, call your name, and you still day hide? A beg, if you no want talk, let us call police, make dem carry you. At the mention of police, Pauline panicked. No, don't call them, please. She crawled forward on her knees, clutching Dara's feet. If police get involved, more people will die. I swear. Dara shook her off, disgust flashing in her eyes. So what do you suggest? That we all sit here waiting for Odogwu to come back and finish what he started? Rex rubbed his forehead, his chest heavy. He remembered the way Odogwu's voice sounded on the phone. Calm but deadly. This wasn't an idle threat. Whoever this man was, he was deliberate and he knew how to instill fear. Pauline, Rex said softly now, crouching beside her. You've been loyal in this house. I've seen your work, your dedication. If you're innocent, then trust us. Tell us who Odogwu is, and we'll find a way to protect you. Her lips parted, her breath shaky. He used to own me. The words dropped like a bomb. Dara frowned, confusion knitting her brows. Own you? What does that even mean? Pauline hugged herself tightly. Her voice cracked. When I was younger, my family owed him. We had nothing, and he took me as payment. I worked for him, suffered for him, lived in fear of him. I escaped years ago, thinking I was free. But he never let go. Everyone froze. Even Vicky's mouth dropped open. Nosa whistled under his breath. So nah human trafficking matter we day talk here? Pauline nodded faintly, tears streaming down her face. Yes, Odogwu controls people like property. He calls it family, but it's slavery. If you try to run, he hunts you. And now he knows where I am. Dara's face paled, her heart beating faster. She turned slowly toward Rex. You brought this woman into our home, and now we are part of her war. Do you see the danger? Rex's throat tightened. He wanted to argue, to defend Pauline, but even he couldn't deny the weight of her confession. Before he could speak, a guard rushed in, panting. Sir, madam, you need to see this. They followed him to the front gate. Parked outside the mansion, just beyond the security lights, were 3 black SUVs. Engines rumbling, headlights glaring like the eyes of a predator. Dara gasped. Dear God! One of the SUV doors opened, and a tall man stepped out. Broad shoulders, dark glasses even in the night. His presence commanding. He lit a cigarette, inhaled slowly, then blew the smoke into the air. The guards tensed, their hands on their weapons. Nosa cursed under his breath. Vicky clutched her robe tighter, fear finally breaking through her arrogance. Pauline let out a strangled cry and collapsed to the floor. Her voice was a whisper, trembling with terror. It's him. It's Odogwu. The man's deep voice carried across the gate, calm but heavy. Rex, open your doors. I've come for what belongs to me. The courtyard erupted in chaos. Guards shouted. Dara grabbed Rex's arm, her eyes wide with fear. Don't you dare let him in. Rex's blood boiled, fury and fear twisting inside him. He clenched his fists, staring at the dark figure beyond the gate. The night had turned into a battlefield, and Rex knew, whether he liked it or not, this was no longer just Pauline's fight. Odogwu had brought the war to his doorstep. The headlights from the SUVs burned into the compound like unblinking eyes. The guards shifted nervously, gripping their batons and rifles, but none dared make the first move. Odogwu stood tall at the gate, his cigarette glowing faintly in the dark. His voice boomed again, steady and cold. Rex, you have something that belongs to me. I don't like asking twice. Pauline curled on the ground, her hands over her ears, trembling like a child. Dara pulled her shawl tighter around herself, anger and fear wrestling inside her chest. Vicky stood frozen by the veranda, her usual smirk gone, replaced by wide-eyed panic. Rex stepped forward. He could feel Dara's hand grab his arm, trying to pull him back, but he shrugged her off. His heart hammered, but he refused to let Odogwu see weakness. "You can't just storm into my house and make threats," Rex shouted. His voice echoed in the night, though his throat felt dry. "This is not your territory. Lagos is not your village. Leave now before you regret it." Odogwu laughed, the sound deep and chilling. He flicked his cigarette to the ground and crushed it under his boot. "You think money makes you powerful, Rex? You think these walls protect you? I've built empires from the shadows while men like you played at being kings. Don't test me. Pauline is mine. She ran once, but I always take back what belongs to me." Pauline screamed from behind Rex. "I am not yours. I was never yours." Her voice broke, and tears poured down her face. Odogwu tilted his head, his dark glasses reflecting the mansion lights. "Then tell him the whole truth, Pauline. Tell him why you can never be free of me. Or should I do it for you?" Rex turned sharply, looking at Pauline. His chest tightened. He wanted answers, but this was not the time or place. Nosa stepped up beside him, his voice low but urgent. "Rex, we can't let this guy inside. He has backup. Look at those SUVs, men are inside, waiting. If we open that gate, na war." Rex nodded slightly, his jaw tight. He raised his voice again. "Leave now, Odogwu. I don't care who you are. This is my house. You won't take anyone from here." Odogwu's smirk widened. "So you've chosen your side. Interesting." He snapped his fingers and the SUV doors opened. Four men in black stepped out, their builds heavy, their movements precise. They carried no visible weapons, but their presence alone screamed danger. The guards raised their rifles. Dara gasped and pulled Pauline back toward the house. Vicky clung to the wall, her phone shaking in her hand as though she wanted to record but couldn't dare. The air grew thick. One wrong move and blood would spill. But then Odogwu lifted his hand, halting his men. His smile never wavered. "Not tonight. I'm not here for blood. I just wanted Rex to see the size of the shadow he stepped into." He pointed a finger toward Pauline, his voice dripping with menace. "Enjoy her company while you can, but soon, I'll collect what's mine. And when I do, you'll all pay the price for hiding her." With that, he turned, entered his SUV, and the engines roared to life. The convoy pulled away slowly, deliberately, as though to remind them that Odogwu moved on his own time, not theirs. When the last tail light disappeared, the compound fell into an uneasy silence. The guards exhaled in relief, some muttering prayers under their breath. Dara turned furiously to Rex. "This is exactly what I feared. You've brought danger into this house, Rex. And it's because of her." She pointed at Pauline, who was still sobbing on the ground. "Stop it, Dara," Rex snapped, his voice raw. "You think throwing her out will solve anything? You heard him. He won't stop until he gets her. If we abandon her, Odogwu will kill her, and then come for us next." Dara's eyes glistened with anger and hurt. "So now you're her protector? You defend her every single time. Tell me the truth, Rex. Why do you care so much about this maid?" The words cut deep. Rex opened his mouth, but no explanation came. His body froze, his secret screaming inside him. He couldn't tell her. Not here, not now. That Pauline had somehow stirred something in him that even Dara could not. Vicky, sensing the fire, stepped in with her sly tone returning. "It's obvious, isn't it? Rex isn't defending her because of kindness. He's defending her because she means more to him than he's ready to admit." "Shut up, Vicky," Rex barked, his voice echoing. But Dara's face went pale. She stared at Rex, her lips trembling. "Tell me that's not true," she whispered. "Tell me you haven't been hiding something from me, Rex." Rex's throat tightened. His silence spoke louder than words. Pauline, still weeping, cried out, "Please, madam, it's not what you think. I never meant to bring trouble here. I never wanted this." But Dara had already turned away, her heart breaking. She stormed into the house, slamming the door behind her. The courtyard fell quiet again. Nosa rubbed his forehead, muttering, "This house don't enter Wala." Rex stood frozen, torn between chasing after Dara, confronting Pauline, and preparing for the storm Odogwu had promised. Because one thing was certain, tonight was only a warning, and Odogwu would return. The mansion no longer felt like home. It felt like a cage filled with fear, suspicion, and unspoken truths. For 2 days after Odogwu's dramatic visit, nobody in the house slept soundly. Guards doubled their watch, yet every sound of a passing car, every knock at the gate, sent shivers through their spines. Dara barely spoke to Rex. She carried herself with cold silence, her eyes sharp whenever they landed on him. Pauline, pale and thin from sleepless nights, moved like a ghost, her shoulders hunched as if expecting an attack at any moment. Nosa kept pacing the compound with his phone pressed to his ear, calling contacts to dig up information on Odogwu. Vicky thrived on the tension, whispering rumors into Dara's ears whenever she could, her sly smile fueling the fire. But Rex knew something had to give. They couldn't continue like this, living under the shadow of Odogwu's threat, with mistrust tearing them apart from within. On the third night, Rex called everyone into the living room. The chandeliers glowed, but the atmosphere was heavy. Pauline sat with her hands folded tightly, her eyes swollen. Dara crossed her arms, her chin raised. Nosa leaned against the wall, restless. Vicky curled into a chair with mock curiosity. Rex stood tall. We can't hide from this any longer. Odogwu won't stop. If we wait, he'll strike again, and harder. So tonight, Pauline must tell us everything. No more half-truths. No more secrets. Dara's eyes burned into Pauline. Yes, start talking. Who exactly are you to Odogwu? Pauline's lips trembled. She closed her eyes, took a shaky breath, then finally spoke. I was 15 when I first met him. My family owed him money. He called himself a helper of the poor, but he was a predator. He took me into his so-called family. For years I worked under him, carrying messages, laundering his money, keeping his secrets. I was trapped. Tears streamed down her cheeks. But when I turned 20, I ran. I thought I was free. Until now. The room was silent. Even Vicky stopped smirking. Pauline continued, her voice breaking. That's why he says he owns me. In his eyes, I am property. And because I ran, he wants to punish me. To drag me back or destroy me completely. She looked at Rex desperately. I didn't come here to bring trouble. I only wanted a chance to live like a human again. Dara's face softened slightly, but her suspicion didn't fade. She turned to Rex. And you? You've been hiding things too. Why do you defend her so much? The question hung in the air like a blade. Rex felt every eye on him. His heart pounded. He could lie. He could say it was only kindness. But the weight of silence was crushing. He took a deep breath. Because my body betrayed me, he said quietly, his voice thick. I couldn't be close to you, Dara. I tried. I saw doctors. I thought something was wrong with me. But then one night, Pauline walked into my room, and for the first time in months, I felt alive again. The confession shattered the room. Dara staggered back, her hand flying to her mouth, her eyes filled with tears, not of love, but of betrayal. Rex, how could you? Her voice cracked. After everything we've been through, after the trust one gave you, you're telling me this now? Pauline shook her head frantically. Madam, please. I never knew. I never wanted that. I never. But Dara's sobs drowned her out. She turned and fled the room, her footsteps echoing through the hall before a door slammed upstairs. Rex buried his face in his hands, shame washing over him. Nosa muttered, Chin eek. This house don scatter. Vicky finally spoke, her tone quiet for once. Now it all makes sense. She looked at Rex with a sad kind of pity. You've entangled yourself with a woman running from a devil, and in the process, you've broken the heart of the one who truly loved you. The silence that followed was unbearable. Then, from outside came the roar of engines. Everyone froze. The guards shouted from the gate. Tires screeched. Nosa dashed to the window. His face went pale. He's back. 3 SUVs pulled into view, headlights blazing. This time, Odogwu didn't stop at the gate. His men forced it open, storming inside with ruthless precision. The guards tried to resist, but they were outnumbered and outpowered. Odogwu stepped out calmly, his dark glasses gleaming under the mansion lights. "I warned you, Rex. Midnight was only the beginning. Tonight, I take back what is mine." Pauline screamed. Rex stood, fury igniting in his chest. "Over my dead body." Chaos erupted. Guards clashed with Odogwu's men. Nosa grabbed a chair as a weapon. Vicky screamed and ducked behind the sofa. Pauline clung to the wall, sobbing. Odogwu advanced slowly, unfazed by the commotion, his eyes fixed on Pauline like a hunter stalking prey. And just as he reached for her, a deafening gunshot cracked through the air. Everyone froze. At the top of the staircase stood Dara, her hands steady around a pistol Rex had never seen her hold before. Smoke curled from the barrel. Her voice rang out, fierce and unwavering. "Touch her, and I swear I'll end you right here." The room was electric. The battle paused on a knife's edge. Odogwu tilted his head, a smirk tugging at his lips. "Ah, the lawyer has fire in her." But Dara's eyes blazed with fury and heartbreak. Her voice shook with emotion. "This house may be broken, but I will not let you destroy it completely. Leave now, Odogwu, or this ends with your blood on my floor." For the first time, Odogwu's smirk faded. His men shifted uneasily. Silence thickened. Finally, he raised his hands slowly and stepped back. "This isn't over," he growled. "I'll be back, and when I return, no gun will save you." He turned, signaling his men. The SUVs reversed out of the compound, engines roaring into the night. When the last sound faded, the house collapsed into silence. Pauline fell to her knees, weeping. Nosa exhaled deeply, muttering prayers. Vicky clutched her chest, shaken. Rex stared at Dara, his eyes wide with shock. Dara lowered the gun, her hands trembling now. Tears streamed down her face. She looked at Rex. Anger, pain, and love all colliding in her eyes. "We'll deal with Odogwu," she said, her voice breaking. "But you and I, Rex, we are finished." She dropped the gun onto the stairs and walked away, her sobs echoing through the house. Rex stood frozen, his heart shattered. Pauline crawled toward him, whispering through tears, "I'm sorry. I never meant for this." But Rex could not answer. His world had collapsed. The battle with Odogwu was far from over, but the war inside his own home had already destroyed what he once held dear. And as the mansion settled into uneasy silence, one truth remained clear: no one in that house would ever be the same again.